When the Arctic turns white and silent and the cold creeps in like a slow, invisible predator, most vehicles vanish from the roads. But not these. Road trains, massive diesel-chugging lifelines, keep running non-stop through darkness, black ice, and wind chills that can snap steel. They're not just delivering freight, they're delivering survival in the most brutal conditions on Earth when everything else shuts down. These rigs start their engines. The reason? Because they have no choice. Up north, way north, in places like northern Canada, Alaska, and deep Arctic mining corridors, road trains aren't optional. They're the only option. Remote towns and industrial camps depend on them for absolutely everything. Fuel, food, medicine, building supplies, machine parts, you name it. If it's not flown in by cargo plane, it's brought in by truck. And when the airstrip ices over or visibility drops to zero, the trucks still go. The moment the ice roads open, the countdown begins. These frozen highways, made from compacted snow and solid lakes, don't last forever. They're temporary veins carved into the tundra, and once the temperature warms up even slightly, they vanish. So drivers push hard. Some routes run 24/7 for only 6 to 8 weeks a year. If you don't get the freight in by then, you're out of luck. And if a mining site doesn't get its fuel drop before the melt, millions are lost. Operations stop cold. That's why the road trains run non-stop. There's no room for delay. Trucks roll in staggered convoys, with one rig's headlights barely cutting through the frost mist of the rig ahead. Drivers rotate in shifts, fueling while idling, swapping positions during short sleep breaks and makeshift sleeper cabs. Some companies even build mobile rest stations along the route, heated cargo containers with bunks and coffee machines, just to keep drivers alive and alert. This isn't normal trucking, it's a test of endurance, mechanical, mental, and physical. Drivers wear Arctic rated gear just to check the tires. A few minutes outside, and your eyelids start to freeze. Exposed skin goes numb in seconds. And yet these men and women climb under their trucks, fix fuel lines, hammer ice off axles, and keep going, because there's no one else out here. If they stop, no one's coming to rescue them. The rigs are monsters, usually multi-trailer setups with triple or quad loads. Some stretching over 100 feet long, powered by high-torque engines modified to handle cold starts, thick oil, and fuel that would normally gel in anything below minus 30 degrees Celsius. The tires are pre-warmed, the batteries insulated, and fuel is laced with additives to prevent crystallization. Every part is double-checked, and spares are carried in the cab. Not for convenience, but for survival. Even the roads themselves fight back. Black ice forms in the blink of an eye. Whiteouts reduce visibility to arm's length. Snow drifts pile high enough to trap rigs like sand in a canyon. Bridges are temporary. Slabs of reinforced ice monitored hourly for stress fractures. And if a truck goes off route, they don't tow it, they abandon it. Because recovering a lost rig in the Arctic can be more dangerous than leaving it behind. Still, they drive. Some of these road trains carry over 100,000 liters of diesel. Others move explosive materials, massive machine parts, even pre-built housing units stacked like Lego blocks. There's no room for error. Every mile must be calculated. Every curve, every grade, every frozen lake crossing. The slightest miscalculation in weight or speed, and the ice gives out. The truck goes under. That's not a theory. That's happened. And yet the system works, because the drivers know. They train all year. They scout routes. They learn the language of the ice, the way it groans, the color it turns before it starts to fail, the feel of traction dropping away under the rear axles. No algorithm can match that kind of instinct. No AI can replace that kind of survival drive. These are not everyday truckers. These are Arctic haulers, battle-hardened road warriors who thrive where machines freeze and time bends. The kind of drivers who measure success not in miles per gallon, but in whether or not they make it back. And still, they love it. There's a kind of serenity to the silence, a respect earned from pushing through terrain where even wildlife retreats. You don't just drive the Arctic, you earn it. So when you hear about road trains running in the far north, don't picture a mild snowstorm and a scenic haul. Picture steel giants crawling across an endless sheet of ice, their engines howling against the wind, their drivers wide-eyed in the dark, gripping the wheel like it's the only thing keeping them alive. The thing most people don't understand is that Arctic road hauling isn't about distance. It's about time. You're not racing from point A to B. You're racing the weather. Every degree counts. If a cold snap holds, you've got a few days of solid ground. If the temperature rises just a little too fast, the road becomes slush. And if the ice starts to crack beneath your tires, you don't get a warning, you get a hole. That's why the runs are stacked tight. No wasted seconds, no long breaks. Once a rig hits the route, it's on a mission. Fuel, food, freight, all of it's time to the hour. Miss your slot, and there's no guarantee the crossing will still be passable when you get there. The road doesn't wait, the weather doesn't care, and the pit boss back at camp sure as hell isn't going to be happy if the drill site runs dry on diesel. Some of these drivers barely sleep, not because they want to play hero, but because the conditions demand it. They nap in rotating shifts, curled up in cabs that never go cold. The engines don't stop running, because if they do, they might not start again. Battery voltage drops fast in -40, fluids thicken, steel contracts, so the trucks hum all night long, engines growling into the darkness, defying the cold with every piston stroke. You'll hear stories out there. A guy who busted an airline in the middle of a frozen lake and had to crawl under the rig with duct tape and a torch. Another who hit a snowdrift hiding a slab of black ice and nearly jackknifed his triple. Some don't make it. That's the truth. Rollovers happen. Engines seize. Rigs go through the ice. And sometimes help is hours or days away. When that happens, you don't panic. You problem solve. You ration your fuel. You radio what you can. And you wait. That's why most Arctic road trains roll in loose convoys, a lead truck, a middle hauler, a tail. If the front guy hits trouble, the others can assist. It's not just smart, it's survival. There's a kind of brotherhood out here that you don't find anywhere else. No one gets left behind, not on the ice, not in the cold. If a rig goes dark, someone turns back. If a load shifts dangerously, the whole run pulls over and fixes it together. Because out here, it's not just about the cargo, it's about making it home. And the cargo? You'd be amazed what these rigs haul. We're not talking pallets of boxes. We're talking bulldozers, generators, entire mobile housing units, prefab labs, drilling rigs, tower sections. Things so heavy and awkward they couldn't be flown in even if there was a working airstrip. And sometimes it's not even industrial. It's essential. Food drops to remote First Nations villages. Medical supplies for clinics hours from the nearest hospital. Everything they need to survive the year, delivered in a handful of weeks. And when the run is done, when the final loads are dropped and the ice roads are closing and the last rigs are crawling back toward base camp, it's not celebration, it's relief. Trucks are parked. Maintenance begins immediately. Every bolt checked, every line flushed, every tire inspected, because the damage done out there, it's deep, hidden. Snow and salt eat through brake lines. Cold warp seals. The rig might still be moving, but it's hurting, and it's got to be rebuilt before the next season. But the drivers, they're already thinking ahead, already planning, already itching to go again, because for them, nothing else compares. No highway in Texas, no mountain pass in Colorado, no desert haul across Nevada feels the same. Out here, every mile is earned, every delivery feels like a victory, and every return trip carries the quiet pride of knowing you faced down one of the most unforgiving places on the planet and live to tell about it. In the Arctic, roads vanish, storms come without warning, and cold eats machines alive. But through it all, road trains still push forward, because life depends on it. It's not just a job, it's survival with a steering wheel. And as long as the ice holds and the engine starts, they'll keep rolling into the dark, through the cold, carrying the North on their backs.